So sometimes people think they have a discipline problem when in reality, they have a recovery and alignment problem.
Wow, that is a powerful reframe. So, a lot of people know how to work hard. They know how to push, they know how to show up, and they know how to keep going. But recovery feels much harder.
Yes, and in the fitness world, this is such a big conversation because people often think the workout is where the results happen. But technically, your body adapts after the workout in its recovery stage. So the workout is the stressor on the muscle fibers. And recovery is where your body repairs and rebuilds and gets stronger. So if you're training hard, but not sleeping, not eating enough, and not actually taking rest days and not managing your stress levels, you're missing a huge part of the program to actually see the results after all the work you put in. This is the part that a lot of people miss. And that is training is a stressor on your body, and your body doesn't know how to fully separate the stress from your job, your life, your relationships, or an intense workout and or under fueling. So all of this stress builds up and it can't separate the two. And so it's responding to this total load that's been placed on your body. So if you're already running on high stress and then layering on intense workouts with little sleep, food, or decompression time, your body may not adapt the way that you want it to. So more or high intensity is not always the answer. Sometimes the missing piece is the recovery and taking your workout slower.
I love how you explain that. The body doesn't know that one stressor came from your inbox and another came from the workout. It's really
Mhm.
responding to the whole picture. And that's where we have to be honest about the life that someone's actually living, not the life that they think they should be able to handle. What is the actual load and the actual stress and what actual support is in place? Because recovery is not about doing less, but it's about giving the body and mind what it needs to repair, to integrate, and to come back into steadiness.
Absolutely. And I'll use myself as a personal example here. Over the past few years, I had just been in maintenance, trying to keep up with everything in my life and running a gym. And I was working out too much where I wasn't recovering enough. And so I wasn't actually able to put on more muscle mass or even sustain the level of muscle mass that I had gained in the past. And so taking a step back and teaching myself all of the things that I tell my personal clients, that I really only need to be working out 3 to 4 days a week and really implementing intentional recovery, where those days were just about either walking my dog or mobility, made such a big difference in becoming stronger again. And recovery does not mean that you're doing nothing, right? It means giving the body what it needs to adapt to all the stress you're putting on it. And that can include more sleep, implementing more rest days, lower how many intensity days that you have within your program. Could look like walking, a mobility session, actually eating enough, hydrating, and taking deload weeks.
Absolutely. And as we know, the body and the mind and your soul or spirit is all connected. And so, from the well being side, recovery also looks like downshifting, helping to support
Mm.
your nervous system. Maybe that's breath work or just intentional breathing. Maybe that's meditation, finding stillness or quiet time, maybe time in nature or journaling. And sometimes it's even helpful during transition periods, maybe going from work and home to just find that space or create that space so that not every space in your calendar is getting filled in. Letting your body and mind register that like the day or whatever it was that you're doing is complete. I think it's hard for people because we've all been used to being productive all the time.
Yes, exactly. And I've talked to many clients about this because rest can feel super uncomfortable. It can feel like we're being lazy. And especially if you're used to measuring your worth by your output, can feel really scary and uncomfortable.
Exactly. I mean, that is the old model, right? Staying busy, being productive, the more you do. Yeah, sometimes it can bring up guilt or anxiety
Mm.
or the feeling that you should be doing something, maybe even unsafe, because your body and your mind, when it's been used to being in motion all the time, it has to kind of learn really a new way of being. So recovery is not always easy at first. It is something though that you can build a skill around or get used to building into your schedule and your life.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what some signs of that might look like. Someone who is constantly sore, if your performance is going downhill and you couldn't reach that PR or lift the weight that you could 2 weeks prior, you start dreading your workouts that you used to really enjoy. You're tired but wired. Your brain keeps
Mm.
on going. You're not sleeping well. You're getting injured more often, and that's a big one. You are craving more sugar or more caffeine. You feel like you're doing more but getting less from it. And so, in these moments, more workouts are not always the answer.
Yeah, those are great examples. And I definitely recommend just, thinking about times that you felt that way and really looking inward. And it also can affect us emotionally. So poor recovery can make us feel irritable, overwhelmed by even the small things. It can even cause us to feel disconnected to what really matters. It can also cause difficulty in leadership in terms of making decisions or feeling
Mm,
emotionally flat in situations where you definitely don't want to feel that way. It can also feel like that inability to sort of settle, and that even when you're resting, that you're wasting time. So those are
mm,
other signals to listen to as well. And this is where I want to connect it back to action, because if you notice those signals, the next step is to not judge yourself. It's to really just listen and understand what it's telling you. Your body and your mind, your soul is asking you maybe for more sleep, maybe for quiet or still time, maybe for your slightly different workout routine, or maybe a different rhythm in your life. And that's how the awareness around it becomes really useful.
yes, you train, you fuel your body, and you let it adapt and recover. If one of those pieces is missing, eventually you're going to feel it. And high achievers often want to focus on the training piece because that feels active and we're doing and we're moving. But recovery is just as essential too. And one could say active. You have to personally choose to do it. So it's not just always what's visible within the gym.
Yeah, it's such a good point, because recovery is active even when it looks quiet. Even when we're sleeping, we're actually recovering. Our cells are regenerating, our body is healing and integrating. It's so important. It's where our energy is getting restored and even our emotions are settling. And your system is overall coming back into balance, into homeostasis, which is where the body can repair and heal itself. And spiritually, recovery also creates space to hear yourself again, because when every
Mm.
moment is filled with something, it's hard to know what's true.
Yes, and that connects back to alignment because if you are constantly exhausted, it is hard to make clear logical decisions. And it's hard to know what you actually want or need. And it's hard to feel motivated. So sometimes people think they have a discipline problem when in reality, they have a recovery and alignment problem.
Wow, that is a powerful reframe. Sometimes it's not a discipline problem, it's a recovery problem. So that is
Mhm.
really interesting. The question is not always, how do I do more? Sometimes the question is, what does my current life actually require from me? And what support do I need to meet it without abandoning myself?
Yeah. And so, what does recovery actually look like in a realistic week, right? It might look like having 2 or 3 focused strength training sessions instead of trying to do intense workouts every single day, or feeling like you need to fill the gap and go on a run. It might look like walking on your days off. It might look like prioritizing sleep before adding more training on one day. And it might look like eating enough protein and carbs to support your energy output in your workouts. It might look like taking a deload week instead of pushing through fatigue. And for those of you that don't know, a deload week, you're really letting your central nervous system have a break, calm down, and you're moving in ways that are going to help your muscles and your body recover. It's a lighter workout, if you will. So it might also look like noticing that your body is asking for a different kind of movement that day, and that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And, it also can look like just 5 minutes of intentional breathing before you walk into the house after work, or going outside without your phone. It might look like saying no to one thing that would push you past your capacity. And it could even look like ending your workday with just a short little closing ritual to show yourself gratitude and appreciation for the work that you have done. Again, it's not a huge life overhaul, but building in rest and rhythm that your body can actually trust. Take a moment to think about some of these and pick maybe one or two that you think would benefit you.
Absolutely. And I think that what you just said, it's not a life overhaul and pick 1 or 2 things, super important. So if you're working hard but not seeing results, maybe don't just ask yourself, do I need to do more? Maybe the question to ask is, am I recovering enough to adapt? Am I sleeping? Am I eating enough? And am I giving my body the support it needs to actually get stronger and support my life?
Yeah. And where might you need recovery beyond the workout? Is it emotional recovery or mental recovery? Maybe it's space from being needed, or quiet time, time in nature, or even setting some boundaries. Because recovery is not what you do after the work is done. Recovery is part of the work.
Exactly. And the question we want to leave you with is this: what is one way your body is telling you it needs recovery? Listen to that. That may be the next supportive step for you.
So, if we bring these pieces together, strength, fueling, and recovery, what we're really talking about is rhythm. It's not perfection, it's rhythm, because most people do not need another extreme plan or life overhaul. They just need a way of living that actually supports who they are. And this is where Phoenix Ever Research also really helped to shape how we think about support. What we heard from women was not give me one more generic wellness checklist. It was more like help me understand where I am and help me know what kind of support will fit in my life right now. And something that's realistic for actual life. And I think that's the point of rhythm. It's not a one size fits all. One woman might need more recovery, where another woman might need more strength or better fueling, and someone else may need more boundaries set in place to protect their energy. So the goal is not to hand everyone the same plan. The goal is to help people understand what kind of support fits their actual life and current season.
I love that. And that is so true in my coaching too. A program has to be personalized and fit the person, has to fit their schedule, their stress, their training history, their goals, where they want to go, what their hormones are like, what stage of life that they're in, their real life. That is how it becomes a sustainable program and approach. Perfect week is not what changes your life. It's supportive rhythm that you can come back to again and again is what is going to change your life over time. So that might mean strength training a few times a week, eating enough, walking, hydrating, sleeping, And really taking this recovery and conscious recovery seriously. So, not turning every missed workout or imperfect meal into a reason to quit or even restrict.
Yeah, exactly. Because the all or nothing pattern is what keeps so many people stuck. If I can't do the full workout, I do nothing. Or if I can't eat perfectly, I give up. If I miss one day, the whole week is ruined. The rhythm, on the other hand, says I can return to what is important.
And I think this is where we can make it really practical. Good rhythm does not have to look extreme, but it could look like 3 strength workouts a week, protein at most meals, water before coffee, and a walk to help digest after dinner, a bedtime that actually supports your morning, rest days that are planned and not seen as failure or I need to do more. That is not flashy, but it works and it's realistic.
Yeah, for sure. And from the inner side, it could look like a morning pause before your day starts, a breath that you take before reacting, let's say to an email or a situation, a few minutes outside, a moment of gratitude before you go to bed. And a weekly check in with yourself is a really important part of that process, too, to see what's working. What do you need now? And that is how alignment becomes lived, not just something we talk about.
Yes, because the strongest people are not the ones who never get off track. They're the ones who know how to come back. And this is where wellness has to be holistic. It is not just one movement, it's not just about nutrition, but it has to involve sleep, your stress, your recovery, your hobbies, your relationships, the way you spend your time, and whether your life actually gives you energy. All of those things matter.
Yes. And coming back to that mind, body, and soul or spirit connection, it's not abstract, it's very practical. Your body needs movement and nourishment, and your mind needs steadiness and clarity, and your soul or spirit needs and desires meaning, connection, purpose, and space to feel like you're living in a way that is true for you. And when one of those areas is consistently ignored, the whole system feels it. And I think that is the deeper piece because rhythm is not about creating another rigid system. It's about creating enough structure that you feel supported and enough flexibility that you can stay connected to real life because life is going to change. That's one rule, right? That we know. So work gets
Mhm.
busy, travel happens, your body changes, the seasons change. So the question becomes, can I build a rhythm that supports me through that change?
Yes, and that is why I always come back to these basics: strength training, fueling to support myself, recovery, and consistency. I rarely now look for perfection, if ever. So, if you can build these into your life in a way that actually works for you, you're going to feel different. And it may not be dramatic at first, but over time, these small rhythms, they really compound. So you'll see and feel a change.
Yeah. And in terms of compounding into more energy, right? And the way that you feel about yourself, self trust, clarity, capacity, and the freedom to do, of course, what you really love. And that's what alignment really requires, not just knowing what matters, but having the energy and steadiness to live what matters. So, as we close this part of the conversation, I think the invitation is to stop asking, what is the most intense version of change I can force? And instead, ask what rhythm would actually support the life I want.
Absolutely. And what's going to help me feel strong and empowered? What's going to help me feel steady? And where in my life can I add recovery? What helps me show up with energy?
Yes, because that is the bridge with a strong body, a regulated mind, and an aligned life, not as three separate goals, but as one connected way of living.
And maybe the place to start is not with changing everything. Maybe it's choosing just one thing, one strength rhythm, one fueling rhythm, one recovery rhythm, and one way of coming back to yourself.
Exactly. So we're going to leave you with a question to think about, which is, what is one rhythm that would support the life that you actually want to live? Start there, and we'll see you next time.